a psychedelic picture of a red panda spray paint style image on the back of a black hooded jumper. It's like pretty realistic. I did another one with the Harbour Bridge in a thunderstorm, a treasure cave thing, another hoodie, and then this one was really cute. A photographic portrait of a real life dragon in a zoo curled up next to a red panda.
80% of the time, salespeople are answering the same questions over and over again. And we've got case studies of this where we've had clients, sales reps, really good sales reps, spending 40, 50 plus minutes on sales calls. You know, they close the deal afterwards, but they're spending up to 50 minutes having the same conversation.
Answering the same questions, going through the same stuff. This study came out of Brevet that 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups at least to close. However, 44% of sales reps give up after only 1 follow-up, which is insane. And after 4 follow-ups, 94% of salespeople have given up. This reminds me of that graphic, like someone's like digging for diamonds and like they give up just before, like that. This is exactly what it feels.
And the diamond's just underneath where they've given up. Yeah.
Most of them give up after 4. 5 seems to be the number.
Yeah.
Welcome to Inbound Buzz. My name is Moby Sadiq and I'm here with Miss Giggles herself, Tasha Del Bianco. How are you, Tasha?
I'm good. Thank you, Moby. Yes, you do need a vanguard that I'm giggly. Yes.
Yeah, this is like the 4th time I've tried to do this intro. But Tasha, it is such a pleasure to have you. And because you're here, I thought we would talk about customer journey mapping.
Yeah, nice. Very excited to.
So
for sure.
Tash is probably, and I can say this with some authority and I think objectivity, one of the most experienced people in HubSpot in APAC.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Where I think we're one of only 4 agencies who have the HubSpot CRM accreditation.
Yeah, that's it. CRM implementation accreditation. It's a mouthful. Yeah,
it's not a certification. It's an accreditation.
No, yeah, it was a very strenuous process to get that thing. But yeah, 1 of 4 in APAC. And I know I appreciate that, Mobs. It just means I've been doing it a really bloody long time. Do you know what I mean? And made a lot of mistakes along the way, which I'm excited to share some of the solutions to those mistakes. Soon.
So stay tuned for that. So Tasha's done that for Bupa, a whole bunch of other brands. If you don't know who Bupa is, you're probably not from our region.
Yep.
But yeah, that'll be really fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Before we get there, a little bit of news on AI. So in our featured buzz today, we want to talk about this new, like, image generation, GPTs, whatever, like this stuff is moving so fast. So this latest bit of news is anyone with a Google account can try Google's latest AI image generator right now. Now, this did say US, but we tried it today and it worked in Australia. And it's called Imagen 3, Imagen 3.
Yeah.
And essentially it's like Midjourney or any of those other tools. It's free. All you need is a Google account. And why it's really cool, it seems to be one of the most advanced text-to-image generators out there. Now, really quickly, so by the way, I'm sharing my screen. So if you guys are listening in your car, great, don't crash. But if you do want to check out the video, go to redpandas.com.au/EP168. You can see what I'm sharing. So all I've done here is I've used Image FX. I put in, and Tash saw this earlier, a psychedelic picture of a red panda spray paint style image on the back of a black hooded jumper. It's like pretty realistic. I did another one with the Harbour Bridge in a thunderstorm. I did another one with, what else did I do here? A gold treasure cave thing, another hoodie. And then this one was really cute. A photographic portrait of a real life dragon in a zoo curled up next to a red panda. Make a cinematic movie still, high quality digital SLR. So pretty cool stuff. Like, I don't know, Tash, what can you see yourself using this for?
Oh, so many things, Moby, but I'll save the first thoughts for another podcast. But on this podcast, yeah, it's crazy. I'm actually playing with it now and it's insane. It's insane the quality of the image that you can get. And what I'm noticing, now I haven't been in Midjourney for a while, but we really struggled with the prompts in the early days, like getting the prompts to give us what we were trying to get, which is understandable, right? How do you get what's in your head into words that then a vision can come out of? So that's when I was looking at what you shared with me just before and what everyone's seen, the prompts weren't overly long or complicated. They were quite just succinct and descriptive, and the imagery was really good. Obviously, it's still AI. There's some of the other ones you showed me, there was little obvious signs that was an AI image, but it's moving quick. It's insane what it can do.
The really cool thing that I haven't seen in Midjourney that this can do is there's like an edit image option. So what it is you go edit image, and then you have this little brush, a circle brush, and then you can like color something in. So if I try this, I don't know, I'm doing this live. Let's see what happens. So I'm coloring over the red panda, and it says describe the change you want in the selected region. So I might say change this to a cat, and then see what happens. So what I've noticed is when you do the edit mode, it's not that great. So you're right, Tash, like they seem to be short prompts. The moment you give it more, I'm still finding the same issues with this and Midjourney. The moment you get something and you try to edit it, it really struggles.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this stuff is just the start. I've got some other screenshots here. This is a 35mm film of a soccer game, and it looks like a real life soccer game, with players. But you know, for example, if I look at one image where they're red and blue, if I ask them to change it to like black and orange, I know it will struggle.
Okay.
And then photo stuff as well, like create an advertisement for Coca-Cola and it gives you a Coca-Cola ad. So yeah, so here I've asked it to change it to a cat, and I'll quickly show this to you, Tash. It just changed the red panda to a little ball.
Oh, looks like Nemo.
So
weird.
So it's not perfect, right? So it's good. You just got to play with it. You got to get the prompts right. But that's that. So let's actually move on to our featured buzz while you're here.
Woohoo!
Talking about how can you close more deals in your sales pipeline with HubSpot. So Tash, I might get you to set this up because you recently did a webinar where I think we had over 100 registrations, went really well. So set up what you're talking about and then we can go a little bit deeper.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Mobes. So yeah, like Moby said, we've been doing it for a little while, and it kind of all started back in like early 2018 when it was just you and I in a co-working space, and we were doing like heaps of marketing implementation and onboarding for our clients. I remember we'd go to clients, sell them, Marketing Hub, HubSpot that is, take them through this, what was the initial stages of our customer journey mapping workshop. And we always started with, okay, someone comes into your funnel from a marketing point of view. What do we do with them? What are the stages they have to go through? And then, they turn into a customer. And as we were doing it for the years, and it was good. It worked well for marketing. What we noticed though, and funnily enough, we saw this in our clients as well as ourselves, is that sales was like falling down. Like we'd be failing on the sales side.
And at that time too, HubSpot, like it started as a marketing tool.
Exactly.
Like even back then, Tash, this like sales, HubSpot used to use Salesforce for their own CRM.
Yes.
So HubSpot started as a marketing strong thing and then it kind of evolved. So like, it's kind of like we went along with that journey.
Yeah, 100%. We had clients I can recall back to those days where we had clients saying to us, yeah, guys, HubSpot's just not the sales tool for us. And understandably so, it couldn't keep up with a lot of the professional and enterprise kind of companies that we were working with. So at the time, we're like, let's nut down on this. And funnily enough, HubSpot also really invested hard in their sales tools then. And then Sales Pro or Sales Hub became a feature. But, we worked so hard on marketing, generating leads, all these awesome campaigns for a lot of our companies or organizations to just get these leads and then fall through the cracks. Or they'd have too many and they didn't know what to do with them. Or they didn't know how to follow up on them. They were losing opportunities, losing deals because they just didn't have a good process or system to go through what needs to happen to get someone to a customer. So funnily enough, we saw this missing sales piece. We doubled down on it and really honed into our marketing and sales enablement piece. And now we've been doing what we're doing now, which it evolves. Every time we do one of these workshops, the process evolves slightly for each client, but we've found we've found our place to about 2 years. We've been doing this workshopping and it's killing it. For every client we do it for, Mobes, the same results keep happening. We do these workshops, we give them their maps, and then they're like, this is crazy how you could understand our business in 2 hours and turn it into a map. And like I said, feedback is the same. We're noticing our clients say similar things like, we're not missing deals anymore. I have to say, this is with HubSpot, right? I always say you can do this with any CRM or sales automation tool. HubSpot's going to be our choice because it's quite a robust marketing and sales tool in one, and they speak so nicely together on a professional level. So yeah, that's kind of where it all started.
Let's touch briefly on, because I realize we haven't done this definition yet, like briefly for anyone who doesn't know what a customer journey map is, what it essentially is and what it represents.
Yeah, of course. That's a very good question.
No, I didn't think about it either. But
no, because we just assume people know what we're talking about. So a customer journey map is essentially, if I give you a visual, it's a it's a map, if you will, like a Miro boarded map stages of someone when they first enter your system or your ecosystem as a lead or a subscriber or a contact, and all of the stages up until they turn into a customer and beyond. So they're a customer and then they turn into a repeat customer, an evangelist, a promoter, whatever it might be, a referrer, referee. So it's all of those stages. It sounds like a lot, but what we tend to do in these sessions is we start really, really wide and then narrow it right down into, okay, cool, now you got this entire customer journey, and we tend to break it up into 3 stages because it's just easier to digest, to be quite honest. And I said in the webinar, I'm a bit of a drama queen, if anyone hasn't realized yet. But we have this like pre-deal stage, so Act 1, this deal stage, Act 2, and then post-deal stage, Act 3. So it makes it a lot easier to kind of communicate that to clients. Like, okay, cool, what happens before you start selling? What happens during selling? And then what happens post-selling?
And by the way, we'll share in the show notes as well, redpandas.com.au/EP168. Yeah, that's right, EP168, crafting the perfect revenue-generating customer journey map, which is a resource that, Tash, you've had a lot of input into, and it'll show you visually. So yeah, you're right. Like it's essentially from 0 to customer to then even post, like how do you get more business out of them? How do you get referrals? So let's get straight into it. So pre-deal, right? Let's talk about the fact that we've said this on a bunch of different shows, that the studies show, and this study came out of Brevet, that 80% of sales require 5 follow-ups at least to close. However, 44% of sales reps give up after only 1 follow-up, which is insane. And after 4 follow-ups, 94% of salespeople have given up. This reminds me of that graphic, like someone's like digging for diamonds and like they give up just before, like that. This is exactly what it feels
just underneath where they've given up. Yeah.
Most of them give up after 4. 5 seems to be the number.
Yeah.
So we talk a lot about this, Tasha. Let's talk about a little bit around the processification of, and the importance actually of having like a follow-up process. And then we talk about how that might look like in HubSpot.
Yeah, of course. So this works traditionally best for inbound leads. So leads that came to you from your website, they filled in a form, they've come through some type of digital funnel. To be quite frank, you could apply a similar strategy to outreach, like a list, but I would say this best suited for inbound. Someone comes in, right? We would generally recommend between 8 to 10 touch points, maybe more.
And I think within 2 weeks.
Within a 2-week time frame, right? And a lot of people, I see when they say that to them, their faces just like freak out because like, oh man, I don't want to be that annoying salesperson. And it's like, just hold on a second, because when I break it down for you and actually show you what 10 to 14 touch points looks like, it's actually not that bad. But if you think about day 0, when that person enters the system, there's an autoresponder going out. That's 1 touch point straight away. There might even be an auto SMS depending on the business you're in, industry you're in, and if you've got the right setup, there could be an auto SMS. Then there's a task for someone to call and reach out. Often we'll call, reach out, they don't answer, so we send them a follow-up email that we don't say follow-up in, but we send a one-to-one style video with maybe a link or 2. And then if there's no response to that, we call them again the next day, right? That's so just in 2 days.
That's already 4 on that. Yeah, so it's just not a lot.
Days.
That's not a lot, and that's 5 in 2 days.
Exactly. So 5 in 2 days, and then you give it a little bit of a break. Give them like 2-3 business day rest. You definitely need to balance it with a bit of that like emotional intelligence as to know when to not keep pestering them. Again, this strategy would change if the form that they've come in on or the service that you're offering is time-based, right? If it's something that they need like a workshop for on Monday, you're going to smash them, right? If they've explicitly said to you, I need this now, you're going to get...
It's an enrollment-based business.
Exactly, yeah. So we're talking here very general, best practice, just standard contact us form.
I personally liked the double. So like you go day 0, then day 1.
Yep.
And then doubling it. So then 2 days later.
Okay.
And then like 4 days later.
Yep.
And then from there, like 7 to 8 days. And then like from that, it ends up being very easily like 14 touch points.
Easy.
Yeah.
And it always will end with a breakup, right? And we always offer clients like a harder and a softer breakup. So it's like hey, it looks like you're not answering, we'll leave you alone. So that's the softer one, and then the harder one is typically a little bit emotional. So depending on what the service or product offer is, hey, it looks like you don't need to increase your lead generation anymore, for example.
And I know for like a lot of veteran salespeople, like, yeah, you're not telling me anything new. I do that anyway. I do more than that. That's not the point. The point is like, you're probably doing it that way, but what about your colleagues and peers? Like, are you confident? Like, do you know what you're actually measuring? And what we found, Tash, is just the mere act of doing the customer journey map now forces businesses to look at, okay, cool. These are the touch points that make sense. Obviously, when you get deal specific, you might tweak it. The customer says, oh, look, I'm going on leave.
Yeah.
Or my wife's in labor.
Yeah.
You know, like I'll need a week. Of course, you're going to tweak it. You're going to change the cadence, but it's just your guideline. But the point is, if you don't have that, what we found in organizations, say you got 5, doesn't matter what number, X number of people, 4, 5, 6, 7, they're all doing different follow-ups.
Yeah.
And they're having different results.
Yeah.
And you can't even tell whether more follow-ups or less follow-ups is actually more profitable.
Yeah.
So just having it and then transposing it to a system like HubSpot, which will force you to have those cadences, reminders and whatnot, that's the processification of follow-ups.
And business leaders love that, right? Like at the end of the day, the salespeople that are working for you, that's it, they're working for you, right? There's no guarantee that they're going to turn around and leave one day, or stay forever. So putting this into a process, a document, it gives them a lot of peace of mind as well, that they know how their sales works.
Helps them manage their days and weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. And then again, you get newbies in, this is how we do our thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we touched on this really quickly before we move off, like you touched on this before, the one-to-one video. We love this, especially in, not even like, I think it works very well in B2C. We actually train our clients, some of our solar clients and other high-value B2C businesses where they're selling something more than $20, like $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, is sending a one-to-one video with the inquiry.
Yep.
And the formula that I like is like, hey, it's Moby from XYZ company. I understand you're looking for, and the quick recap of their needs. And that's really, really key. You're looking for this outcome of this thing. And you're using their words. And on a call, I'd love to talk to you about this. Maybe here's a resource or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've spoken about this at length in other shows, so we won't go into too depth into that, but that's all pre-deal stuff that's really useful.
No, I agree. Key thing is it's for your lower, so anything that's more than like $20 or $30, right?
Yeah, it's something
Consider
like,
buying.
you're not going to do it for something, like $100 or whatever, right? But something that's like high, it's a business, it's a high consideration.
High consideration. I think that's
high consideration sale.
That's the key thing. It makes a huge difference.
Education, anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. And if you're interested, that's Loom. We use Loom, and you can just install that onto your Google Chrome, and it takes literally 30 seconds to create videos like that. All right. So then we move into the deal part of the customer journey, or Act 2, if you will. And this is, I 100% like this one the best, because it's where you can get a little bit, cheekier, if you will. You can use not so much as old school sales tactics, but you can get get quite creative, right, with what's going on in there. And some of the things I talk about in the deal stage in my webinar and in this talk is that like 80% of the time, salespeople are answering the same questions over and over again. And often they're wasting, and we've got case studies of this where we've had clients, sales reps, really good sales reps, spending 40, 50 plus minutes on sales calls, and they all sound the same. They close the deal afterwards, but they're spending up to 50 minutes having the same conversation.
Answering the same questions, going through the same stuff.
And every time I talk to a salesperson or anyone in sales, I'm like, oh, do you find yourself answering the same questions often? And it's always yes. It's never no. No one's like, oh, no, every time I do a sale, it's different questions. No, it's always the same. And often they'll say things like, oh, I've been asked that question many times before. I bet you have, right? So what we recommend at this point is having what we call an 80% video, which does exactly that. And it answers all those questions, the 80% of them, in a, under 10 minute, well and truly under 10 minutes, like 6.5 minutes is a nice sweet spot where it answers all those questions.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like high production. It can be a one-to-one style, good lighting, nice microphone. And you answer those questions, question answer format, very easy, straightforward.
Yeah. And
then that can be either, I've seen people use it in 2 different ways, either sent when someone first enters the pipeline and they're like, hey, have a watch of this and then book me in. Or it happens after like a first discovery call, because they have that discovery call, they figure out a few needs and challenges.
Yeah, maybe they need to do a proposal, they send it in between. You're right, it can either be before the first touch point or second.
It's definitely at the early stage of the funnel for sure.
And it normally sounds something like hey, obviously you use their name. What I found is people at your stage often have these questions. Something like that, someone at your level usually is has these particular type of questions, and I've answered them, or we've answered them in this video.
Yeah.
And by the time, and we spoke about this on the webinar, like do less education on the call.
Yes.
By the time they jump on, they're already educated.
Yep.
And like the authority of you as a business is like so much higher.
Yeah.
It's so professional.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah.
I think that's what's happened with our HubSpot as well, Mopes. Like the amount of people that come to either our webinars or our sales calls where they've clearly consumed some of our HubSpot content. By the time they get to the call with you or I, because there's so much stuff online with us talking about HubSpot content and whatnot, the authority is so high. And so we don't actually end up doing that much selling.
And have you noticed, like, I can count on one hand. I can't remember the last time we've actually negotiated. Like, people even asked us to negotiate our rates because there's so much value built in.
Yeah.
Like, these guys clearly know their stuff. So, but yeah, that's the other thing too. It raises so much value and profitability just by doing that.
So that's a really nice lesson over the years. The other thing that we say in your deal stages is obviously proposal videos, right? So if you're sending quotes or proposals, we'll always recommend a video to go with that quote or proposal. The biggest reason why is like there's a chance that proposal has to be reviewed by like a leader of the business, other stakeholders, and you can't expect your prospect to communicate it and deliver it the same way that you did. So make their job easier, give them a one-to-one video going through the proposal, and then make it so that they can literally just share that or watch it together with that other stakeholder, and it makes their job significantly easier.
The key thing I'll say, and because I've learned, because I think it's common sense and I've seen people not do this, it's not a proposal walkthrough. That's not what it is. It's not like a on page one, they can read themselves. Like what it is, it's like you pull out 2 to 3 key things.
Okay.
So say you're talking to a customer and they were interested about training, or they were really concerned about the warranty or whether something would be included.
Yeah.
So as you go through that, you're like, hey, look, just want to share this with you, a couple of key things I want to point out for you. And then you might, because I've seen this too, I've trained people on it, and then I have to remind them it's not a walkthrough.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a 10-minute video. It could even be a 3-minute video.
I don't think it is common sense, Mose. I've
learned that, right?
Now that you're saying
I've done it for so long.
Yeah, like I think that's probably the key thing, because I think people will automatically be like, oh, send it with a proposal. Oh, sure, I'll take them through the proposal.
Where's the value, right? Like
it's boring.
It's not.
That's boring.
Yeah, it's boring
like,
on page 1, on page 2.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's like, hey, cool, you spoke about training and the importance of change management. I want to draw your attention to this thing here.
Yeah.
Because like what you'll find is and then you might add a detail.
Yeah.
And then you might go to pricing and next steps or something. And that's it.
Yeah, valuable stuff for sure. I reckon I sent the wrong type of proposal video earlier this week.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry, it wasn't too big.
That's all right. The mere fact of doing it is really good. And there's probably a conversation for another day, like energy and tonality. But yeah, the last thing we'll talk about, and this is kind of getting into a little bit of sales coachy stuff, but we'll also reference in the show notes, episode 153, where me and I think it was Semi, whoever was on with me that day, we went over the perfect discovery call. So that episode 153, literally go over that. But key things I want to talk about and how you link it to HubSpot is like I talk about agenda setting. So where salespeople really fall over and lose their authority is in the start. A bad question is, tell me about your business or tell me about your problems. It's not a good, it sounds innocent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you looking for? You just sound like everyone else.
Generic. As
opposed to, hey, look, Tash, purpose of this call is just to understand you spoke about ABC in your inquiry. Just want to dive further on that. I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions. And by the end of this, I'll know whether we're a right fit or not. And if we are, great, we can talk about next steps. If not, I can point you in the right direction.
Yeah, nice. Super high authority building.
It's like I'm setting the agenda. I'm in control. Everyone wants someone who's in control. Like when there's fire, when there's peace, when there's war, you always want to go, after an authority, follow the authority. And there's also a bit of willing to walk away there. Like maybe we can help, maybe we can't. I'm not here to sell you.
Yeah.
I just want to see if there's a fit and if we can help. Now, the point of this, and just to make a long story short, often we talk about in sales, don't run the bases. So salespeople think they're listening. They're like, okay, you've said that. Okay, cool. Now let me go and talk about all these great things we do. And we call that running the bases, where what you really need to establish is what's their compelling reason to buy. So what that might look like is, look, what's got you looking into XYZ and why now? Why is this a problem now? Yeah. What happens if you don't solve this problem? Another one is like, okay, this is later in the call, but compared against other priorities, how high of a priority is this? Because we've seen stuff before where like they really need it, but it's not urgent.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or it's urgent, but the problem's not big enough.
Yep.
Now, the key thing I want to get to here is, cool, sales tactics aside, is where people struggle is, where do I save this? So the key thing I want to talk about is playbooks. And Tasha, maybe you can give a quick example of playbooks, and then we talk about how that links together.
Yeah, 100%. So in HubSpot Sales Pro, this is a pro feature. There's a little tool called Playbooks, which is such an underrated tool. So you basically set it up with a series of deal properties, so deal data fields, right? Free text, you can do drop downs if you wanted to, so product offering, like whatever. You can literally, world's your oyster, and you create these playbooks with a series of deal fields, and it lives on the right-hand side of a deal record. And if you're a rep and what you're doing and you're having a call, let's say it's a discovery call, you launch the playbook, and as you launch the playbook, it opens up the playbook itself, but also the activity. So you start using the playbook like, okay, here's question 1 through 5. Ask a question to the prospect, fill in the answer in the playbook. And what it can do if you configure it properly is save the answer to the data field. Number 1, you can do reporting on that, all sorts of stuff, right? As we know with properties. But then when you save the playbook, it also then logs the call and the call outcome that you connected. And then if you configure your call type as well, you can log that it was a discovery call. So now we're starting to see reps using a really cool tool, collecting the right information. Then we can report on those calls, call types, outcomes, all sorts of stuff. So it's very, very cool.
And just to kind of bring it all together, and we'll throw this, I'll read it out now, but we'll make sure we edit this in on the video version as well. Say, for example, you train your sales reps, you need to get the potential need or problem.
Yep.
Right. And you need to dig deeper and not just, okay, what's your need or problem? Like dig deeper, find out what's the impact of that. So, okay, cool. You want to make sure that all your sales reps ask for the potential need or problem. And you want the sales rep to get the customer to articulate what's the gap, right? So where are we right now and where do we need to get to? Like if it's, I don't know, say it's like solar, right? Okay, what are your bills right now? Where do you need to get to? What's the cost of inaction? What happens if you don't do it?
Yeah.
Maybe we're selling HubSpot. Cool. All right, where you are right now and where do you need to get to? What does success look like? So turn that into playbook questions. So one might be potential need or problem, right? The second one might be what is the potential gap or cost of inaction if the prospect does nothing?
Yeah.
And then you might have some other stuff like what are success factors, what needs to be true. So it doesn't matter what it is essentially, but make sure you train your sales reps to get compelling reason to buy, success factors, maybe cost of inaction or what success looks like. And then you can have that in your playbook.
Beautiful.
So just by having it in your playbook, for you to get to the next stage in your deal journey, you need to get those 2 or 3.
That's it.
And if you don't, then it's like, hey, rep, you didn't get those.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like, oh, yeah, whatever. But when you lose the deal, right, maybe you didn't why did you lose it? Maybe you didn't raise the stakes. Maybe you thought it was really important. You didn't ask the right questions and it's not that important and you pushed them too hard. But that's, I really, really like that as a sales coaching / tool integration piece.
Yes. And with HubSpot Sales Pro, you can automate it so that also you can put some restrictions around it that the deal actually can't progress down the funnel
unless you fill out the playbook.
Until you fill out those data fields in the playbook.
Yeah.
So pretty cool feature.
The last one, we might cut this one a little bit short, but I just realized we didn't really talk about post deal. So maybe really quickly we can talk about Act 3 and what happens in Act 3 and how you recommend optimizing that.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thanks, Mobes. I'd love to get into post deal. So it's around 65%. I would argue that it's even more. Business comes from recurring business. So that's your current customers bring you probably more than 65%.
Yeah, depending on the industry.
Right?
But
depending on the
happens
industry.
a lot. Yep.
Well, I spoke to a client the other day and they said it was like 90% of their work comes from existing.
They need to get more business.
Yeah. They do. New business. So what the post deal stage is about is knowing when to ask for reviews and ask for upsells or cross sells, right? So what we call in our 2 things there, reviews, using a well-timed email at the moment of truth. So when your customer is their most happiest, we recommend you trigger this type of email, which is literally hey, how did you go with XYZ during this process? Green face, happy, right? Red, orange, not happy, mildly happy, or not happy. And depending on which one they click, they go to a different outcome, right? So green, we would recommend you push to a Google business listing unless you have like an industry-specific rating software or system. And then the other 2, we recommend goes to a landing page, which says, we're sorry that, your service or whatever was anything less than perfect or satisfactory. Tell us how we can improve. It is important to ask a good question there as well, because if you don't, you won't get a lot of feedback. So like, how could we have done better? There's lots of research around what question there. And then I always like to recommend people put do you want to be contacted about your feedback here? Yes or no, right? If they say yes, then, oh my God, contact them, right? If they've said yes, give them a call back. If they say no, then leave it. That's fine. So that's post-deal to encourage reviews and getting reviews from your clients, well-timed emails, moment of truth. And then the other one is upsells. So like, again, depending on your product service offering, you should be hitting them up again and again and again in like
at
strategically.
A periodic time, whether it's 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, depending on the industry. Yeah.
Depending on the industry, what it is, maybe they need a contract renewal. Maybe there's like a webinar coming up with a new course that would be interesting for them. So it's like knowing what to offer when. And then what I mentioned in the webinar last week, which I didn't in the Taya Talk last year, which I really loved that I did, is that you might have to create a new product service offering. Like especially in times like now where things are tough, like look at what you're already doing and what can you turn into a new product service offering. Customer journey mapping workshops were never something that we sold as a standalone service modes, right? They were always part of HubSpot implementation and onboarding. But now I'm so excited we can finally do them because we've turned them into their own product. We do them now as a standalone product, which is actually something that we weren't doing 6 months ago.
That was really smooth, actually, Tash. I didn't think I'm going to put that in the show notes too. But no, you're right. This is very meta. That's an example of developing a product. You're taking one component of a product that's a bigger product and making it as a lower cost offering. Yeah, that's right.
So like the message I drive home for post-deal when people are watching that is, if you don't know what you can cross and upsell them, have a think about what you already do for your clients and shake it up, and maybe there's something there that you can create.
Yeah, nice. Love that. We could talk about this for days, but what I really love about that, two key things as we wrap this up, is the idea. Now, we've kind of undersold this, but the idea of doing that review strategy that you spoke about, Tash, like, hey, how's your service? Smiley face, this is a link on how to rate us. Not so smiley face, go to a form. It has like gotten our clients so many reviews.
Yeah. Like
so many
hundreds,
reviews.
Thousands.
From like some client, they didn't have a lot, but they went from like 2.8 to like 4.8.
Yeah.
Works really,
over
really
like a year and a half.
All automated. And then the final thing was like the customer journey mapping stuff, so there are resources we'll share. There's some free resources in the show notes, redpandas.com.au/EP168. But yes, we can also help you with that too. So you can pay us, we can help you. We can help you with the customer journey mapping, whether you have HubSpot or not, or you need it revamped. But Tash, thank you so much. We can always talk for days on this stuff. Any passing thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, man, my pleasure. It's always it's an honor being on Inbound Buzz. I've been listening to this podcast since like it came out.
Before you started.
So, yeah, 100%.
And now you got your own show.
Yeah, now I get to come on it every now and then with you. So thank you for having me, man.
Thank you, Tash. Thank you so much. And we'll join you again for another episode of Inbound Buzz.
Thanks for listening to Inbound Buzz. Learn anything? Return the favor by spreading the word. Want to make your mark in digital? Need help with your digital strategy, inbound, and marketing automation efforts? Then visit redpandas.com.au and be sure to tune in next time for another Inbound Buzz hit.